Hey everyone, before we dive in, if you enjoy real life stories like this one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. My stepmother stared right at me and declared, "You're not joining us. This getaway is meant for an actual family." The whole room fell completely silent, as if the volume in my mind had been muted. What she left unsaid stung even more. They were still going ahead with a 10-day stay at my lake house, even though I wasn't invited. The very house that belonged to me, the one I'd scrubbed and gotten ready for their visit. I didn't fight back. I didn't break down. I simply made one steady choice that altered everything. When they showed up, I discovered that quiet actions could hurt far more than any loud dispute. Like this video, comment below with where you're tuning in from. My name is Isabella. I'm in my late 20s. I have a standard office job in the city. And for much of my life, I've been the type who thinks issues can get resolved if you're patient, if you keep things low-key, if you avoid complicating matters unnecessarily. I didn't come from a rich or chaotic background. What I had was steady and cozy, particularly before things shifted. Some of my first recollections involve summers at the lake house, barefoot on cool wood planks first thing in the morning, the scent of pine wafting in through wide-open windows, my mother softly singing as she prepared breakfast, my father already out there, inspecting the water levels like it was his daily duty. That place seemed like the single spot where trouble couldn't get to us. Then my mom became ill. It progressed quickly. One year she was around, the next she was gone. Following the funeral, the lake house no longer seemed like a holiday escape and began to feel like a remembrance we were scared to disturb. My dad made an effort. I'll acknowledge that. He attempted to stay tough, to maintain normality, but sorrow transformed him in ways I couldn't grasp at the time. A couple of years on, he got married again. My stepmother, Laura, moved in along with her two daughters, Brooklyn and Addison, and suddenly the vibe in our house changed. Not in big, obvious bursts. It was gradual. Furniture shifted around, pictures swapped out, private jokes that didn't include me. I was never shouted at. I was just gradually phased out. When I left for college, returning home felt odd, like I required approval to be there. Once I settled into my own place and began a full-time job, that separation turned into my protection. I convinced myself it was okay. Grown-ups grow apart. Families evolve. The lake house re-entered my world via my mother's relatives. My aunt had always adored it, and upon her passing, it was passed down to me completely legally. No ambiguity, no joint ownership, just mine alone. I probably should have put it on the market. That would have been the sensible move. But deep down, I couldn't let go. That house preserved the addition of my family that had once seemed genuine. When my father and stepmother began inquiring about borrowing it occasionally, I agreed. I hoped that kindness might mend what separation hadn't. I longed to feel part of things once more. So when they proposed a summer trip all together, everyone sharing the same roof, I grew optimistic, truly optimistic. I convinced myself this was our fresh start, our opportunity to behave like a family at last. I had no clue I was setting up my own exclusion. The vacation concept arose casually, as if it weren't significant. We were gathered in my dad's living room, the television volume low, some unmemorable show running. Laura brought up how wonderful it would be to escape together before summer wrapped up. A handful of days near the water, clean air, chance to bond again. She phrased it like the plan was set. I glanced at my dad. He grinned and agreed in his usual manner when avoiding conflict. It might benefit everyone, he mentioned. Something eased inside me. I hadn't realized how much I'd craved hearing that. From then on, I poured myself into the preparations. I'd head up to the lake house on my free days. I'd ventilate rooms that had sat unused for months, launder linens, check supplies for what we'd require, food shopping, essentials, the stuff folks overlook until they're there and frustrated. Each time I stood on the pier gazing at the gentle waves, I reminded myself this was worthwhile. That hard work counted for something. That families don't mend instantly, but through consistent effort. There were little signs that felt off. Laura discussed bedroom setups without consulting me. She added her daughter's boyfriends to the invite without noting it up front. When I attempted to add input, She'd grin and reply, "We'll sort it out." Then switch topics. I brushed aside the unease in my gut. I told myself I was overreacting. A few days prior to departure, my dad requested I stop by. He said they needed to review plans. I arrived with a notepad, already pondering menus and schedules. We never got there. Laura remained standing. She kept her arms loosely folded, as if bracing to share tough news but not wanting to appear harsh. She uttered my name once, deliberately. Then she stated, "We've concluded it'd be best if you skipped this trip." I chuckled initially, just a quick exhale of shock. "What are you talking about?" She pressed on without pause. "This is truly for family connection. A genuine family getaway." The phrase hit hard, conclusive. I shifted to my dad. He fixated on his lap. I paused. Time dragged. He never raised his gaze. I softly asked if he shared that view. He didn't confirm. He didn't deny. He stayed mute. That quiet inflicted greater harm than any fight ever could. I remained there clutching my notepad, seeing how absurd it was that I'd organized food for folks who didn't want me joining them. Laura noted they'd already booked vacation days. Arrangements were complete. I could visit later, like it was a kindness. I kept my tone even. I didn't beg. I nodded, said I got it, and departed. In my vehicle, my hands trembled so much I had to pause before starting the engine. That's when reality sank in. This wasn't a mix-up. This wasn't careless organizing. They'd chosen, and my father had allowed it. By the time I reached my apartment lot, the pain had cooled into resolve, and I knew I wouldn't plead for inclusion anymore. That evening, my place seemed tinier than ever. I tossed my keys into the entry dish and stood gazing at the blank wall, reliving the exchange repeatedly. Laura's steady tone, my dad's averted eyes, how I'd exited with a notepad of unwanted ideas. I didn't tear up immediately. I walked back and forth from kitchen to window, as if my body had to expend the jolt first. I fixated on her term, actual family. It replayed until the ache faded and it sounded absurd. If I wasn't actual family, why was I suitable for tidying the place, filling the pantry, providing keys freely? That's when resentment took hold. Not raging, not outburst level. The calm variety that clarifies everything. I grabbed my phone, nearly dialing my dad, then placed it down. I predicted the outcome. Regrets laced with justifications, vows that meant little. I refused to urge him to pick me again. Instead, I opened my computer. I accessed the lake house files. Title, ownership, all solely mine. Straightforward, no gaps, no divided rights. I reviewed twice to confirm. I was correct. For the initial time since the talk, my breaths evened. I shared nothing about my next step. Not with friends, not dad. No updates, no teases. I planned and followed through. 2 days on, I requested work leave and headed to the lake house ahead of schedule. The drive felt altered, purposeful, not sentimental. Arriving in the driveway, the house sat serene, just as I'd left it, tranquil, expectant. I inspected each room, windows, entrances, rear porch. I paused at the kitchen table, allowing the emotions, sorrow, fury, closure of the shift ahead. Then I summoned a locksmith. He efficiently swapped the locks, no inquiries. The clicks echoed profoundly, like finality locking in. He passed me the fresh keys, chilly in my hand. I settled the bill, expressed thanks, and remained solo afterward. I didn't feel elated. I felt composed. That evening, I prepared an easy meal and dined on the deck as sunlight faded behind branches. The lake lay calm. The breeze carried pine and heated timber scents. This spot had always represented security, acceptance. I understood then. If they'd ruled me out as family, I owed them no entry to my true home. I secured the door that night and rested soundly for weeks. They'd arrive tomorrow anticipating seamless access. They were clueless how mistaken. I rose early next day, no alarm needed, briefly disoriented. Then the gentle lake laps on the pier reminded me. The house awakened leisurely, unhurried. I brewed coffee, sat windowside, observing dawn light spread over the water. Time check. They were roughly an hour out. No anxiety, which caught me off guard. I'd expected jitters, mental rehearsals, but no lines needed. I knew my words and, crucially, my silences. No justifications. Near midday, gravel crunched under tires. One vehicle, then more. I remained seated, observing. From the front glass, they parked confidently. Doors swung. Chuckles drifted over the lawn. Laura motioned at the house, likely delegating rooms as usual. Dad hauled luggage mechanically. They appeared carefree. It nearly amused me. Laura dug in her bag for the key. She approached the porch boldly, inserted it. No movement. She twisted firmer. I noted her posture tense. Dad neared, took over, wiggled the knob. Puzzled, retried. Nothing. Brooklyn sighed audibly, muttered inaudibly. Laughter, chalking it to a fluke. They checked the rear entrance. Identical outcome. Mood darkened. Laura's posture rigidified. Her tone sharpened, audible now. She rapped once, then firmly. Isabella, she summoned. What's going on? I delayed slightly, then approached the door. I didn't fling it wide. I unlatched the chain for a partial opening, peering out serenely, like mid-routine day. Yeah, I asked. Need something? Laura's cheeks reddened. What did you do with the locks? Oh, I replied casually. I got them replaced. Her lips parted, shut. Why on earth? I gave a small shrug. Because it's my property. Addison advanced. We're meant to stay here. I know, I said. You informed me. My dad spoke at last. Isabella, this isn't amusing. We traveled far. I'm serious, I replied evenly. I reached a conclusion. Laura folded arms. You can't bar us. Everything's set. Curious, I noted. Since last week you said this was family only. She tensed. Don't distort things. I'm not, I said. I paid close attention. Dad glanced between us. You know that's not her intent. I faced him. Then what was... He started to respond. Stopped. Laura blocked him. We meant time for us, our unit. I nodded deliberately. Exactly. And you specified I'm excluded. Her face hardened. You're overreacting. No, I said. I'm matching your stance. Brooklyn snorted. You're really going through with this? Yes. Laura let out a bitter chuckle. This is immature. Punishing us over hurt feelings. I rested on the frame. I didn't punish. I chose not to loan my home to those who don't see me as family. She gaped shocked. We deserve to be here. You don't, I stated. You tend to presume otherwise. Dad advanced, tone pleading. Isabella, please discuss inside. I held his stare. No inside access today. Laura's pitch climbed. You're selfish. I offered a slight smile. Possibly. But I picked it up observing you. She jabbed toward the door. Open up. I shook my head. I don't allow strangers into my home. The statement lingered, clear. Silence briefly. Then chaos, blame, shame, volume up. Laura called me heartless. Addison said I wrecked it all. Dad repeated my name desperately. I absorbed it, truly, and felt zero pull to explain or defend. They ignored me now as before. But now it was irrelevant. I retreated, hand on door. Laura surged. You can't. I have, I said. I shut and latched it. They lingered outside a while. Muted yells, bags thudding back to ground. Dad tapped gently once, twice. No response. Finally, motors roared. I watched from window as they departed. Driveway cleared. Lake unmoved. No victory rush. Just stability. That evening, my friends pulled in. Their vehicles occupied the vacated spots. Joy returned, genuine, relaxed. We barbecued on the deck. Swam. Chatted late under stars. No tiptoeing. No belonging doubts. Locking up that night, lights out, I grasped. Strength isn't always in clashes. Often in controlling access to yourself. And finally, that choice was mine. The house shifted post-departure. Not silent, freer. Friends lingered days. For years first, the lake house lived in now, not then. We made basic dinners, swam till pruned, laughed deep into nights. No strain, no status checks. No earning seats. After they left, I remained. I blocked Laura and her daughters swiftly. No declarations, no reasons. Done seeking comprehension from those profiting from confusion. A week on, Dad requested a solo meet. Neutral cafe in town. He seemed aged, burden landed. He apologized, sincerely if imperfectly. I didn't absolve instantly. Truth. Trust rebuilds slowly, not from belated words. Any bond would be gradual, deliberate. My rules. He consented, and I trusted it first time. Home that night, another call. Realtor contact for seasonal rentals. Making it useful, beneficial to me, not exhausting. Laptop shut, anger gone. Clarity remained. That summer showed what I'd wished known earlier. Family means respect, not ties or titles. When someone deems you outsider, they forfeit claims to your effort, space, kindness. Self-priority isn't harsh. It's essential. If this resonated, tell me below. Share your location and if you've set firm boundaries with loved ones. And for more true tales on family limits and inner power, subscribe to catch the next one.